In this video, I want to show you how you can use sensitivity labels to keep your data secure in and out of Power BI reports. I'm going to show you how you can create the labels from the Compliance Center and also how you can enable it to be used in your Power BI reports. All of that and more. So without further ado, let's get started. Hi, my name is Fernan and welcome to the Solutions Abroad YouTube channel where I focus on teaching beginners the wonderful world that is Power BI. I upload new videos every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified when a new one is out. So Power BI in general is pretty good at democratizing your data, so making it available for everyone. But at first glance, it sounds like it's a huge risk, especially when you're working with sensitive data. But as you work and learn about Power BI, you'll soon realize that there are lots of features that you can use to keep your data secure, and one of them is to use sensitivity labels. This feature allows you or your users apply sensitivity labels to their datasets, so the data within them have the appropriate controls as per your company's policies. Let's have a look at an example of when this can be applied. So we're gonna go here to my Power BI workspace in the web. And if we go to my workspace here, you'll see these two columns here, endorsement and sensitivity. So we're just focused on the sensitivity at the moment because this is what tells us what label is applied to those items. And I want you to pay attention to this report, Levers report. And you can see that it's a public tagged report. It's labeled as public. But if you look at the report itself, there's not a lot here. But the problem is that this data is Levers sensitive data. It's pretty sensitive data that should not be publicly available. So obviously, if you want to restrict who has access to this data, you just won't share them this report. But the sensitivity labels gives you that extra layer of security to make sure that your data is secure on a data level, and that is following company policy that you applied in your compliance center. So let's say we want to label this from public to confidential. So let's go back to our workspace here and let's go to the Levers report. We go to settings, and from here there is a sensitivity label option, and from here you can choose confidential, and let's hit save. So as you notice, we only had two labels to choose from, public and confidential. And that's because I've configured them manually within the Compliance Center myself, and it's going to be different for different organizations. Now let's have a look at the consequence of changing this to a confidential report. Let's go back to the report again. That is now confidential reports. So now we're going to try to export this data, Levers data, into our local file. So if we open that local file, so now here you can see that there are some restrictions when it comes to accessing that data export. And that's because I'm logged in my office here as my personal email and not my work email. And the confidential label is set up in a way that only organizational accounts can use and extract data from these reports, even if it's on an Excel. So if I wanted to access this data extract, I need to make sure that I'm logged into Excel as my work email, the one that has permissions to access the data export, in order to see the data within it. Now, obviously, because you can add multiple labels in your Compliance Center, it also means that you can configure what kind of restrictions each level has. Maybe you want to add a restriction to not enable data exports at all, or maybe you only want to share the data to a certain group of people. That is completely up to you to configure. So now let's have a look at how you can configure this for your own Power BI service. So if we go back to my workspace, the first thing that you'll need to have is access to the admin portal. So you need to have either a tenant admin or a global admin in order to do this. And you need the Power BI Pro license at the very least in order to do this. So we go to settings from here, admin portal. In under tenant settings, you want to go to information protection, and you want to make sure that at least this one, allow users to apply sensitivity labels for Power BI content, is enabled. There are other options here that you can enable, but we won't go through them right now. You just need to make sure that this is enabled. Now, this is only the first step because, as I said, you need to configure the labels from the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. And if you don't have any labels at all, this feature can't be enabled. So it will link you to the Compliance Center here for you to configure your labels there. So let's have a look at there. So let's follow this link to go to the Compliance Center. So here is where you can create new labels that you can use for your Power BI service. And as you notice here, we have the 2 labels available for us. And this is what we use and we configured to use in the Power BI reports. So let's try to create a label of our own here that we can use for our reports. So let's hit create label here. We'll name this one perhaps highly confidential. Same name. We'll hit next. We'll hit next from here. We'll say we want to encrypt files and emails using these labels, and maybe we can mark the contents of these files as well. So the custom content marking, you can add some things like watermarks, headers and footers, and essentially it makes sure that the data, when it's being looked at, has these watermarks to remind them that this data is highly confidential. So we will just add some watermark here. We'll keep it like that for now. Hit next. Hit next. Yep, I think that's it. So we'll create label. And now that you've created your label, we need to publish this. This is an important part, otherwise you won't see it in your options. So we'll publish our highly confidential right here. Yeah, let's hit next. Highly confidential policy. Hit submit. So now we've created the label that we want to use for our reports. They say it can take 24 hours, but my experience, you can see it straight away. So let's have a look and see if we can use that label now. So if we go to my workspace again, let's go to the reports again, hit settings. And if we go to the sensitivity label, now you can see in the sensitivity label, we now have the option to use that highly confidential label that we just created. So you just hit apply and save. So it's that simple. You're now able to apply sensitivity labels to your Power BI reports and data. Thanks for watching as usual. Give this video a like if you found it useful. Give it a dislike if you didn't, so I know to do better for next time. Ask your question in the comments below so I can help you and you can help others. If you enjoyed this video, we have a Patreon page where you can support the channel and get exclusive perks like early access, demo files, and credits at the end of these videos. Thanks again for watching and see you in the next one.